This episode of the What's Happening Delco podcast is brought to you by Delco Meets for Business. Check us out on Meetup, register, and attend one of our fantastic networking meetings, which we meet on the first and third Thursday at the Brick House in Ridley Park, and the second and fourth Thursday at the Upper Crust in Newtown Square. We look forward to seeing you there. What's happening, Delco? I'm Rich Shane, and welcome to the What's Happening Delco podcast. Today, I'm joined by Dennis Carrol of Premier NLP Life Coaching. Dennis, welcome to the podcast.
Rich, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. It's an honor.
Great. I'm great you're here, too, because if not, who would I be talking to? But you are Premier NLP Life Coaching. What is that?
Wow, that's a hard one to just sum up into a few words, but essentially I'm an anxiety and depression specialist, and I teach people how to formulate their communication both internally and externally to support the emotional states that they want to live in, not so much the negative ones they don't want to live in. So it's a 7-step strategic intervention coaching program based on the work of Dr. Richard Bandler, and he's the gentleman who mentored Tony Robbins. He's the one that taught Tony Robbins what he's doing today. And I studied with him, and I'm licensed under him to practice neurolinguistic programming and also integrate Ericksonian hypnosis into my program. That changes how people feel about themselves in the subconscious. And the result of that is the complete cessation of all the symptoms related to anxiety and depression. And it leaves them feeling really good, really happy, and really fulfilled. That's pretty cool, if I say so myself.
There's a lot there to unpack. What can people expect when they work with you, Dennis?
Well, it's mostly me teaching, right? Because, people think they're going to come in and tell me their deep, dark secrets and all the things that happened to them. And I really don't need much of that information at all. And I often tell them, I'm going to do most of the talking here, but that doesn't mean you have to accept what I say. So I tell them all, feel free to challenge anything and everything I say, because I consider myself a teacher. And as a teacher, it's my job to get my message to my students, not the other way around. So if they don't understand something, if they disagree with me, I feel like it's my job to present that information in a different way so they do get it. And along with that, there's homework, right? So I'm just, the coach on the sideline, and they're the player in the field, right? So I tell them what to do, how to do it. And then they have typically a week in between sessions to go implement that homework. And the result of that is it's a layered learning process that builds on itself each week. Person feels better and better and better. In addition to that, there is unlimited support during normal business hours in between those sessions, so that in the case that if someone is implementing or attempting to implement the homework and they're not experiencing the desired outcome, I don't want them to wait until they come back and say, oh, yeah, I tried that. It didn't work, because then we lose some of that momentum. So, typically it's just a minor tweak that takes a 5-minute phone call to get that person on track to do something just a little bit differently that perhaps I didn't explain properly or they misinterpret the way to do it. And that's pretty much what to expect, except, the hypnosis that I do, that's a kind of an uncertainty for people. People don't understand what hypnosis is. And it's kind of funny because I tell them all, typically what happens when I bring someone out is they'll open their eyes and sort of nervously look around the room saying, I'm not sure I did that right. Because the way I do it, it does not feel like you're hypnotized. Or they might open their eyes and blink heavily because they were actually deeper than they thought they were. But again, it doesn't feel like you're hypnotized. But it changes how they feel about themselves. And it's a really, really powerful way to make those changes permanent in the subconscious, so that the effects of coaching are lasting and enduring.
Stress, anxiety, these are things that seem to be very top of mind in our community and more prevalent to what we see. What are some of those stresses, those anxieties that you're seeing your clients and customers come to you to discuss and help with?
Typically, it's being accepted as a human being. And typically it's driven from a fear that they're not adequate or they're not good enough in some way. And what they'll do is they'll imagine a scenario and perhaps where they meet someone new or they're going to a party. And in their head, they're worried about what if they don't like me, or what if I don't look right, or what if I make a mistake, or what if I look bad? And they run all these what if questions. And then they follow that up with a movie fulfilling that what if question, right? And then they start to loop that movie in their head, and then they feel anxious. And it basically comes down to them really wanting to be loved, which is what we all want, right? And that's really the basis of my entire program is I teach people both in the conscious and the subconscious to love themselves just as they are right now, flaws and all. And I tell everyone the same thing. As human beings, we are all messed up. Every single one of us, myself included. Typically, the difference between my clients and me is that I don't care. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean that I don't care that I'm messed up, but I'm okay with the fact that I have all these flaws, right? I do want to become a better person. I want to grow as a human being and become more, but it doesn't negate my value or their value. And it's getting that in the subconscious is completely life changing. It changed my life in 2009. And that's why I do what I do.
You outlined 7 steps in your program. I know everybody is looking for that quick fix, that immediate instant gratification, right? But what can people expect from working with you as far as a timeline? Overall, there's no cookie cutter approach to it other than the structure. But, from your workings and how you've been able to help people, is there, all right, this is where you should be if I take you through these 7 steps?
Sure. So first step is just really come in and diagnose, right? To see what's going on with the individual. And at the end of that first session, we decide whether or not we're going to work together. And if we don't work together, there's no obligation to continue. And there's no charge for that session. Okay. After that, we're integrating a transformation. So the first 4 sessions are typically causing a subconscious transformation where they go from a very, stressed out space into a really relaxed and happy space. And then the next 4 sessions is really making that sustainable. Because what's the point of having this transformation if you're only going to slip back over the next couple of weeks or a couple of months? So it's a step-by-step process it is not cookie cutter per se, but there's a lot of the same components because really, Rich, we're more alike as human beings than we are different, right? And so I see so many different versions of the same challenge from one person to the next. And sometimes there's subtle differences in the way you integrate the process and what challenges this person has specifically and how to help them overcome those. But overall, it is a lot of the same stuff over and over. And in fact, I tell clients, I say, listen, I take notes during my session, but if we work together in the next week, I'm repeating myself because I don't remember I said it. You don't have to be polite. You just put your hand up, say, yeah, you told me this last week, and we'll move on. And then if they want to hear it a second time, as they say, repetition is the mother of skill, that's fine too. But I do teach a lot of the same things over and over and over.
You mentioned your teachers to where you have come into this space with premier NLP led coaching. Who motivates you? Who inspires you?
Wow. You mean who presently motivates me this day? God. It's really, we're here to love and be loved. And I believe, God is love. And so part of what I do as a coach is to love unconditionally, right? To spread that love to whomever it is. And literally to my clients, I do this because my heart's in it, not because I do this for money. I never got into this for money. In 2009, I went to a life coach, and it took me from being severely chronically depressed for over 30 years to literally being happy and fulfilled overnight. And my head nearly exploded. I mean, I knew that this was going to be how I found my destiny, was in paying this forward. And that's what gets me out of bed each morning. So it's the unconditional love that I think we're all here to experience. And so many people find that challenging to feel. And Thoreau said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them. And that breaks my heart thinking about that. And I know that I was on that path. Had I not been intervened, right? If I had not met the man who changed my life, I'd still be struggling. I know that. And I'm so ever grateful for what he did for me. And so that's really what motivates me, just to go out and touch people's lives and do the best I can do.
You found a place of vulnerability where you said, I need help, and you sought opportunity to be open to find that. What do you think that barrier may be for people today? Or what should be what is it they should be asking themselves to take that next step to find somebody like you, Dennis?
Do they really want to change, Rich? I mean, that really what it comes down to, because if they don't want to change, no one can help them, right? Because change can be scary for people. Like, what if I do this and it doesn't work? What then? So then sometimes people will just stay stuck from the fear of the unknown. But staying stuck is much more painful in the long run than the immediate fear, quote unquote, pain of that uncertainty. So what they should ask themselves is, what's my life going to be like 10 years from now if I don't change? 20 years from now if I don't change? 30 years if I live that long, right? What's it going to be like if I don't change? And so that's really the motivator that gets people, out of their comfort zone, because there's a lot of pain for a lot of people. And I know that's really what it was for me. I pictured myself living to be 95 years old, lonely, unfulfilled, unhappy, no friends, no family, no money, bitter, old, lonely, regretting my entire life, waiting to die. I pictured that. And I knew that I wasn't going to live into that. I was going to do whatever it took to get away from that. And that's what got me to take that action.
Dennis, how do people find you? How do they connect with you?
Well, I'm on social media, Dennis Carrol, TikTok, Dennis Carrol 72, or WestchesterPALifeCoach.com. They can also call me. I use my cell phone for business. So that's 484-889-7706. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone who is looking for help. I love what I do, Rich, and I appreciate the opportunity that you've given me today.
Dennis, you're out and about in the Delco community and you have a cheesesteak craving. Where are you stopping?
I'm getting a chicken cheesesteak at Off the Rails in Media. Really phenomenal, phenomenal. The seasoned meat was just delightful last time I had it.
You have a pizza craving because you satisfied your cheesesteak craving. Where are you going for pizza?
Probably Upper Crust in Newtown Square. They have good food. If you haven't been there, you should check it out.
Do you have a favorite topping or toppings that you put on your pizza?
I'm pretty much a just plain cheese guy. I used to love the pepperoni, but as my advancing years and my expanding waistlines tell me, let's just skip the pepperoni and maybe cut back to one piece instead of two of that pizza. I do love it though.
You are out and you're in the community and you need a convenience store. Are you stopping at Royal Farms or are you stopping at Wawa?
Wawa, for sure. It's just I actually stopped in a Royal Farms the other day and it literally smelled like grease in that place.
I think they call that fried chicken, Dennis. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dennis, how do you describe Delco to somebody who's never been here or has never heard of Delco before?
How do I describe Delco? I think like earthy, down to earth, right? Like salt of the earth. That people are really just salt of the earth people, how I would describe them, and give you the shirt off their back if you ask them for it.
I really appreciate that you said earthy and down to earth, and we're recording this on April 22nd, which happens to be Earth Day. So
happy Earth Day.
If anybody's celebrating Earth Day with style, it's Delco.
Absolutely.
You have friends or family coming in from out of town and you want to take them or give them that Delco experience. Where are you sending them or where are you taking them?
Yeah. Do you mean like somewhere to eat or something to see? Just all that stuff, right?
Anything you want to do. It's your day. You're planning it.
Media. Going to head in the media, everyone's hometown, right? Stroll around down there, other shops and whatnot. Probably head up to Rose Tree Park, take a walk around there if we have enough time and they're really more athletic. Might cruise around the 5 Mile Trail on the Ridley Creek State Park. I really enjoy that space. So I'm an outdoorsy kind of guy. I used to spend hours behind Cardinal O'Hara High School just stalking and tracking deer myself. So I love the outdoors, love the woods. I do stay away from them much more now because of ticks and Lyme disease. But if that wasn't an issue, you'd still see me in the woods more than you'd see me on the street. So I like the nature part.
Dennis, is there anything we haven't spoken about or anything you want the listeners to know more about you or Premier NLP Life Coaching?
Yeah, you know what? I do have over 50 5-star Google reviews. If someone wants to find out what kind of results they can get, those are typical results. So if they were to Google me and the words life coach and see or Premier Life Coaching, look at those Google reviews. If they engage with me, they should expect the same result. And that is a guarantee, by the way.
Okay, Delco, Google Dennis, see what people have to say, the Google reviews, and then if there are things that you're finding that you're struggling and you don't want to have that same life 10, 20, 30 years as Dennis spoke about, make an appointment. Get started today. Dennis, thank you so much for being a friend of What's Happening Delco. We can't wait to see you again. We can't wait to see your reviews double after helping everybody, and have a fabulous day.
Thanks for including me, Rich. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dennis. Hey, it's Rich. Thank you so much for being a listener to the What's Happening Delco podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn more about the people and businesses in our community. I have been a real estate agent for over 25 years, working with first-time home buyers to last-time home sellers. As a listener of the podcast, my gift to you is a complimentary 1-year American Home Shield home warranty. This is for buyers and sellers that I help. If you're looking to move anywhere in the United States, I have you covered with an amazing network of real estate agents. I look forward to hearing from you. My direct line is 215-313-3777, or you can email me at rshaneremax@comcast.net. Oh, by the way, I am never too busy for any of your referrals.